The glass walls of Nextech Automation's Seattle headquarters gleamed like a fortress under the gray Pacific Northwest sky, but inside, Ethan Carter felt like he was staring down a firing squad. At 30, he stood at the edge of his career's cliff, heart hammering in his chest, the air in Simon Hayes' corner office thick with betrayal. Simon, the VP of sales, leaned back in his leather chair, his tailored Italian suit catching the light, a smirk curling his lips as he delivered the killing blow. "Ethan, your lack of commitment to this team is a problem. We're letting you go. Effective immediately." The words hit like a sucker punch, but Ethan's face stayed stone cold. 4 years. 4 years of grinding out 60-hour weeks, of closing deals that pumped millions into Nextech's coffers, of solving problems for clients across the West Coast, while his own bank account flatlined. He still shopped clearance racks at Target, still drove the same beat-up Ford Focus his parents co-signed for in college. And here was Simon, with his Miami tan and Rolex glinting, acting like he was doing Ethan a favor by torching his life. Ethan's pulse roared in his ears, but he forced his voice steady. "I understand," he stood, reached across the massive mahogany desk and extended his hand. Simon's eyebrows twitched, surprised, maybe even annoyed. The VP hesitated, then gripped Ethan's hand briefly, his palm clammy despite the bravado. "Thank you for the opportunity," Ethan said, each word deliberate, a quiet defiance. Simon's smirk faltered, just for a second. The walk back to his desk felt like a perp walk through a prison yard. The open-plan office, usually a hum of keyboards and coffee-fueled chatter, fell silent. Head stayed down, eyes glued to screens, but Ethan felt the weight of stolen glances. News traveled fast at Nextech, faster than the truth. Claire from HR trailed him, her keys jangling like a jailer's, watching like she expected him to swipe a stapler or set his cubicle ablaze. Ethan almost laughed. He'd brought in $3 million, 0 cents last quarter alone, and they thought he'd stoop to petty theft? His desk was a time capsule of survival. A thermos his sister gave him, engraved with "Hustle Hard," a handful of pens that didn't suck, a tiny succulent that had somehow thrived under the soul-crushing fluorescent lights. 4 years at Nextech, and his life fit into a cardboard box smaller than a carry-on. He packed methodically, ignoring Claire's hovering. The succulent's sharp edges pricked his thumb, a tiny jolt of reality. This was happening. This was real. As he headed for the elevator, Ryan Mitchell stepped out of his office. Ryan, Ethan's direct supervisor, the guy who'd built his career on Ethan's deals. The Carson contract, $3 million, 0 cents, Ethan's blood and sweat, had landed Ryan a shiny company Tesla and a corner office, while Ethan got a pat on the back and a "keep it up." Now, Ryan couldn't even meet his eyes. "Badge to security," he muttered, then vanished back into his office like a coward. Ethan clutched the badge, its sharp edges biting into his palm, and stepped into the elevator. The polished steel doors closed, and Ethan caught his reflection. He didn't look like a man who'd just been fired. He didn't look broken. He looked lighter, like he'd shed a weight he hadn't known he was carrying. The elevator dinged, and he stepped into the lobby, the Nextech logo looming overhead like a corporate guillotine. He handed over his badge to the security guard, who avoided eye contact, and walked out into the Seattle drizzle. Ethan's Ford Focus idled in the parking lot, AC blasting to keep the windows from fogging. He sat there, staring at the glass tower that had swallowed 4 years of his life. 4 years of early mornings, late nights, and promises of "you're part of the family" that turned out to be as hollow as a used car salesman's pitch. His phone buzzed. A text from Ryan. "Sorry about how things went down, just following protocol." Ethan's jaw tightened. Protocol, like firing the guy who'd carried the sales team, was just another Tuesday. He powered off the phone and tossed it onto the passenger seat. Back at his Capitol Hill apartment, the place felt like a stranger's. The mismatched furniture, the bare walls, the fridge with nothing but beer and leftover takeout. It was a life on pause. Ethan dropped his box on the counter, grabbed a whiskey from the cabinet, and poured 2 fingers into a chipped glass. He sank onto the couch and did something he hadn't done in years. Nothing. No emails pinging, no client calls, no proposals to tweak, just the hum of the city outside and the burn of whiskey on his tongue. The afternoon light slid across the room, and for the first time in forever, Ethan felt the world slow down. His phone, now back on, lit up with notifications. 3 missed calls from his parents in Tacoma, a text from his sister Mia. "You okay? Ryan called me looking for you. WTF?" Ethan's grip tightened on the glass. Ryan calling his sister? That wasn't just crossing a line, it was burning the damn bridge. Then, an email from Laura Bennett, a former Nextech client who jumped to Horizon Media. "Can you come in tomorrow? 9 a.m. The team wants to meet you." Ethan stared at the screen. Laura had reached out on LinkedIn a week ago, casual at first, then dropping the bombshell. Horizon was building a new business development division, and they needed someone with Ethan's tech sales chops. He'd taken 1 vacation day, earned, not stolen, for the first interview. Someone had spotted him in Horizon's downtown lobby and ratted to Ryan. That was yesterday. Today, he was yesterday. Today, he was yesterday. Today, he was yesterday. Tomorrow, maybe a life lack. He typed 1 word in reply, yes. Then he called his parents. His dad, a retired insurance salesman who'd missed half of Ethan's high school games but always kept the lights on, picked up. "They did you a favor, son," he said after Ethan spilled the story. "How's that?" Ethan asked, skeptical. "They showed you who they are. No more guessing. Now you know." His mom got on the line, voice soft but fierce. "You need us to come down, honey?" Ethan surprised himself with his answer. "I'm okay, actually. I think this might be the best thing that's happened to me." He meant it. The knot in his chest, that low-grade anxiety that had been his shadow for years, was loosening. He wasn't just free from Nextech. He was free to build something better. That night, he slept like a man who'd just dodged a bullet. Morning broke with a rare Seattle sun, and Ethan woke with a clarity he hadn't felt in years. He dug out his best suit, a Navy number he'd bought for client meetings that Simon always had to attend instead. The mirror showed a man ready to fight, rested, sharp, hungry. Horizon Media was his shot, and he wasn't about to fumble it. He climbed into the Focus, the engine coughing to life, and merged onto I-5 toward downtown. Traffic was a snarl, but Ethan's mind was on the pitch he'd prepped, Horizon's new division, his vision for growth, the numbers he'd pulled from their public filings. He was halfway through mentally rehearsing when he noticed the brake pedal felt wrong. Mushy. Unresponsive. His stomach dropped. He pumped the pedal, but the car barely slowed. Ahead, a semi loomed, its trailer swaying. Ethan's knuckles whitened on the wheel. He downshifted, swerved onto the shoulder, and yanked the parking brake. The Focus screeched to a stop, inches from a guardrail. Heart pounding, Ethan sat frozen, cars whipping past. A tow truck later confirmed, the worst. The brake lines had been cut, clean and deliberate. The mechanic's words echoed, "You're lucky to be alive, man." Ethan's mind raced. An accident? Or something darker? Nextech's reach, Simon's smirk, Ryan's shifty eyes. Had someone wanted him out of the game for good? He made it to Horizon on foot, rattled but resolute. Laura greeted him in the lobby, her smile warm but professional. "Rough morning?" she asked, eyeing his slightly disheveled suit. "You could say that," Ethan replied, forcing a grin. The interview was a blur of handshakes and questions, but Ethan nailed it. His numbers, his client wins, his vision for Horizon's growth, it all landed. By noon, they offered him Director of Business Development, triple his Nextech salary, a corner office, a team of 4, and a clear path to VP. "When can you start?" Laura asked. Ethan didn't hesitate. "Tomorrow." Back home, Ethan's high was tempered by the brake incident. He called a friend at the Seattle PD who promised to look into it but warned, hard to prove sabotage without witnesses. Ethan's gut churned. Nextech had the money and motive to play dirty. Simon's disloyalty jab, Ryan's protocol excuse, it all felt like a setup. But for what? To scare him? To silence him? He poured another whiskey, the glass catching the light like a warning. His phone buzzed. A LinkedIn message from Sophie, an ex-tech accountant he'd always liked. "Call me. Urgent. Not safe to text." Ethan's pulse quickened. He dialed her number and her voice came through, hushed and tense. "Ethan, they're saying you stole client files. Simon was in the server room after you left, downloading your stuff, then wiping it. He's framing you." Ethan's blood ran cold. "Why tell me this?" he asked. Sophie hesitated. "You were always decent to me. But I can't testify. I need this job." The line went dead. Ethan stared at the phone, the pieces clicking into place. Next Tech wasn't just firing him, they were burying him. The tampered brakes, the stolen files, the whispers of disloyalty. This wasn't about one vacation day. This was personal. And it was just the beginning. The Seattle skyline glittered through the drizzle as Ethan Carter stood in his Capitol Hill apartment, the weight of Sophie's whispered warning sinking into his bones. "Simon framed you." The words looped in his mind like a bad song, each repetition tightening the knot in his gut. Next Tech wasn't just playing dirty, they were trying to erase him. The tampered brakes from yesterday, the near miss on I-5 were no accident. Someone wanted him out of the game, and they weren't subtle about it. Ethan set his whiskey glass down, the amber liquid catching the light like a warning flare. He wasn't just fighting for a job anymore. This was survival. His phone buzzed, snapping him back. Laura Bennett's email glowed on the screen. "Team wants you tomorrow, 9 a.m. A lifeline from Horizon Media, a chance to rebuild." Ethan typed "yes" and hit send, his fingers steady despite the storm in his chest. He called his parents next, their Tacoma number a tether to something solid. His dad, Jack, a retired insurance man who'd seen his share of corporate snakes, didn't sugarcoat it. "They fired you to hide their rot, son. Next Tech's scared of what you know." His mom, Ellen, softer but no less fierce, offered to drive down. Ethan surprised himself again. "I'm okay, Mom. I've got this." And for the first time in years, he believed it. Sleep came hard but deep, a dreamless void that left him sharp when the alarm blared at 6 a.m. Ethan dug out his navy suit, the one reserved for client meetings Simon always hijacked. The mirror showed a man ready for war, clean-shaven, eyes bright, jaw set. Horizon was his shot, and he'd be damned if Next Tech's shadow would dim it. He grabbed his thermos, hustle hard etched in Mia's handwriting, and headed out, the Seattle dawn painting the streets in gold. The Ford Focus coughed to life, its engine a stubborn reminder of Ethan's lean years. I-5 was a beast, but Ethan navigated it with focus, mentally rehearsing his Horizon pitch, growth strategies, client retention, the $3 million 0 cents Carson deal he'd closed at Next Tech as proof of his worth. He was halfway to downtown when he noticed the black SUV in his rear view. Tinted windows, no plates. Hugging his tail too close for comfort, Ethan's pulse quickened. He changed lanes. The SUV followed. He sped up. It matched him. A memory of yesterday's brake failure flashed. Metal screeching. Guardrail looming. This wasn't paranoia. This was a threat. Ethan's hands tightened on the wheel. The SUV surged closer, its grille filling his mirror like a predator's maw. Ahead, a merge lane narrowed, hemmed by concrete barriers. Ethan floored it, weaving through traffic, horns blaring. The SUV stayed glued, nudging his bumper. His heart pounded, adrenaline spiking. "Come on, you bastard," he muttered, eyes darting for an exit. He spotted a gap, jerked the wheel, and cut across 2 lanes to an off-ramp. The SUV missed the turn, fishtailing before vanishing into the flow. Ethan pulled into a gas station, hands shaking as he gripped the wheel. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. No voicemail. A warning? A taunt? He saved the call log, jaw clenched. Next Tech was escalating, and he was running out of road. Horizon Media's downtown tower was a sleek contrast to Next Tech's cold fortress. Laura met Ethan in the lobby, her sharp blazer and warmer smile easing his nerves. "You look like you've seen a ghost," she said, eyeing his tense posture. "Rough commute," Ethan quipped, brushing it off. The interview was a gauntlet of execs, each probing his track record. Ethan leaned on his Next Tech wins. $3 million, 0 cents from Carson, $1,500,000, 0 cents from Pacific Robotics, a dozen smaller deals that kept the lights on. He pitched a vision for Horizon's new division: data-driven growth, transparent commissions, client trust as currency. The room leaned in, nodding. By 11 a.m., Laura offered the role. Director of Business Development, triple his Nextech salary, bonuses tied to performance, a corner office, and a team of 4. "When can you start?" she asked. Ethan's answer was instant. "Now." The office felt like a fresh start. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a desk that didn't wobble, a view of Puget Sound that made Ethan's cubicle days seem like a bad dream. His team 2 analysts and 2 junior reps greeted him with cautious optimism. Ethan laid out his plan. Build trust, deliver results, no games. "We're not Nextech," he said, and the room relaxed. For a moment he believed the worst was behind him. That belief shattered 2 days later, when a courier delivered a cease-and-desist letter from Nextech. Ethan's stomach dropped as he read, "Mr. Carter is in violation of a non-compete agreement prohibiting employment with competitors within 150 miles for 18 months. The letter demanded he quit Horizon or face legal action." Ethan's mind raced. He'd scoured his Nextech paperwork, offer letter, reviews, exit forms, no non-compete. He'd have remembered signing something that chained him like that. He called Horizon's legal team, forwarding the letter. "Send us your Nextech files," the attorney, Rachel, said. "We'll handle it." Ethan dug through his records that night, the apartment's silence broken only by the hum of his fridge. Nothing. No non-compete, no restrictions. He was about to email Rachel when his phone pinged. An encrypted file from Nextech's lawyers. Inside was a non-compete dated 3 years ago, right after his Rookie of the Year award. His signature stared back at him, crisp and unmistakable. But Ethan's blood ran cold. "I didn't sign this," he whispered. The memory hit like a freight train. Simon sliding a stack of papers across the desk during his review. "Just routine updates, Ethan. Sign the flags." He'd trusted Simon, signed without reading. Had they slipped it in? Forged it later? The betrayal burned, but the bigger question loomed. Why were they so desperate to stop him? The next night, Ethan stayed late at Horizon, prepping for a client pitch. The office was a ghost town, the city lights flickering beyond the windows. He was locking his laptop in his desk when he heard a faint click from the hallway. His pulse spiked. The cleaning crew didn't start until midnight. He grabbed his phone, thumb hovering over 911, and crept toward the door. The hallway was dark, but a shadow moved near the server room. Ethan's mouth went dry. "Who's there?" he called, voice steady despite the adrenaline. No answer. A crash echoed, glass shattering. He sprinted to the server room, finding the door ajar, a window smashed. His laptop was gone, along with a flash drive of client data. The thief had known exactly what to take. Security cameras caught a hooded figure, unidentifiable, slipping out a side exit. The police took a report, but Ethan knew this wasn't random. Nextech's cease and desist, the SUV, now this. Each move was a blade cutting closer. He called Sophie, her number still in his recent calls. She answered, voice barely a whisper. "Ethan, they're saying you stole client files. Simon was in the server room after you left Nextech, downloading your entire folder, then wiping it. He's framing you." Ethan's grip tightened. "Will you testify?" Silence. "I can't. I've got kids, a mortgage. I'm sorry." The line went dead. The next blow came at dawn. Ethan woke to his apartment in chaos. Drawers yanked open, files scattered, his Nextech paperwork gone. Nothing valuable was touched. No TV, no cash, just the documents he'd planned to send Horizon's lawyers. The lock was intact, the windows untouched. Whoever did this had skills and a key. Ethan's skin crawled. He called his PD friend, who dusted for prints but found nothing. "This is targeted, Ethan. Watch your back." Ethan's mind spun. Nextech wasn't just after his job. They were erasing his defense, his proof. At Horizon, the legal team was unfazed. "We'll subpoena Nextech's records," Rachel said. "If the non-compete's forged, we'll prove it." But Nextech doubled down, escalating their claims in a new filing. Ethan had faked the Carson deal's value to inflate his commission. Then, stolen client data to cover it. The accusation was a gut punch. Carson was Ethan's biggest win, a $3 million 0 cents contract he'd bled for, weekends missed, flights on his own dime, a cousin's wedding skipped, and the commission? He'd never seen a dime beyond his base pay. The math didn't lie. $3 million, 0 cents, at 5% should have been $150,000. 0 cents. His final paycheck had been $2.80, same as always. Ethan's breaking point came when Ryan texted, "Need to talk, not about the lawsuit, urgent." Against his better judgment, Ethan agreed to meet at a greasy diner off Aurora Avenue, the kind of place where nobody asks questions. Ryan looked like hell, pale, unshaven, shirt wrinkled. He slid into the booth, eyes darting. "I can't be tied to this," he said, voice low. "I could lose everything." Ethan waited, arms crossed. Ryan leaned in. "Simon's been forging non-competes for years. Slips them into reviews, adds pages later. And the commissions?" He's skimming. "There's 2 sets of books. One for us, one for his executive fund. Millions, Ethan. That's why they're coming after you. They're scared you'll figure it out." Ethan's pulse roared. "Proof?" Ryan hesitated, then slid his phone across the table. Screenshots glowed, spreadsheets with dual commission rates, bank transfers to an offshore account, emails between Simon and the CFO. Ethan's anger surged. Every deal he'd closed, every late night, every promise of "we'll take care of you," stolen. "Send me these," Ethan said. Ryan's face twisted. "If I do, I'm done at Nextech, in this industry." Ethan didn't blink. "You're already done. Help me or go down with them." Ryan's hands shook as he forwarded the files. Leaving the diner, Ethan's world tilted. A car engine revved, headlights blinding. He dove behind a dumpster as a sedan screamed through the alley, missing him by inches. Tires screeched as it peeled out, leaving the smell of burnt rubber. Ethan's heart hammered. This wasn't a warning. It was attempted murder. He stumbled to his car, checking the brakes, the locks, his own shadow. The screenshots burned a hole in his inbox. They were dynamite, but without Ryan's testimony, they were hearsay. He needed more. He needed someone who'd already lost everything. That night, Ethan made a list of ex-Nextech employees, names tied to sudden exits or hush scandals. One stood out, Mark Thompson, a top performer fired last year amid rumors of erratic behavior. Ethan had never bought the gossip. Mark was a churchgoer, a family man, steady as they came. He found Mark on LinkedIn, now at a small firm, earning half his Nextech pay. Ethan sent a message, "Need to talk about Simon Hayes and Nextech commission." "Urgent," Mark replied in minutes. "I've been waiting for this." They met at a Tacoma coffee shop, Mark's face lined with a year's worth of stress. "They fired me because I found the real books," he said, no preamble. "Commission fraud, vendor kickbacks, fake project costs. Simon and the CFO ran it like a cartel." Ethan leaned in. "Proof?" Mark nodded. "Encrypted drive, offsite, bank records, emails, everything. I was building a case when Simon found out. Next thing, I'm a drunk, a loose cannon. They threatened my wife's job at the hospital, hinted my kids' school might reconsider their spots. I backed off." Ethan's stomach churned. "You kept the evidence." Mark's eyes hardened. "For someone like you, no family to threaten, Horizon's muscle behind you, you can end this." Ethan called Laura that night, laying it all out. The SUV, the break-in, the ransacked apartment, Ryan's screenshots, Mark's evidence. "This could blow up," he warned. Laura's voice was steel. "We're not backing off, Ethan. Nextech's been poisoning this industry for years. We'll fund the fight." Ethan exhaled, a weight lifting. For the first time, he wasn't alone. The case exploded, faster than anyone predicted. Horizon's lawyers, armed with Mark's drive and Ryan's screenshots, filed with the SEC and DOJ. Subpoenas flew, deposing witnesses from Nextech's rank and file. Former employees came forward, their stories mirroring Ethan's. Stolen commissions, forged documents, careers crushed. 3 weeks later, federal agents stormed Nextech's headquarters, carting out servers and files. Simon and the CFO were escorted out in cuffs, the news splashing across X and CNBC. Nextech stock cratered, clients bailed, and the lawsuit against Ethan vanished. Simon's last gasp was an email from his personal account. "We need to talk, I can explain." Ethan forwarded it to Rachel without a word. Days later, the Seattle Times ran the headline, "Nextech execs resign amid fraud probe." Simon and the CFO took plea deals. Ryan dodged jail by cooperating, but was blacklisted in tech. The court awarded Ethan $185,000, 0 cents in back commissions and damages, the check arriving like a quiet victory. He didn't cash it right away, letting it sit on his desk, a reminder of the cost and the truth. A year later, Ethan stood before Horizon's sales team, now VP of Business Development. His division had doubled revenue, expanded into 3 markets, and built a commission structure so transparent it drew talent from across the industry. 3 ex-Nextech reps, part of a class action settlement, now worked under him. Nextech was a footnote, acquired at a fire sale price, its name synonymous with greed. At his parents' new Tacoma home, Ethan sat on the porch with Jack, the sunset bleeding red over the sound. "Proud of you, son," Jack said, raising a beer. "Not for winning, but for doing it right. You didn't let them make you bitter." Ethan nodded, the weight of the past year settling into something solid, not heavy. "It was never about revenge," he said. "It was about the truth." Jack smiled. "And that new car? Time to ditch the Focus?" Ethan laughed, glancing at the Ford in the driveway. "Not yet. Keeps me grounded. Reminds me the long road's the one that lasts."